Hi, everyone. It's the December 2021 episode of Fishtrap Fireside, featuring 3 readings from longtime Fishtrap friends, award-winning author David Laskin, Enterprise junior high school student Emrys Hobbs, and children's story writer Evelyn Swart. Now, Fishtrap Fireside is a monthly reading series designed to feature diverse voices from local writers, and each month takes a fresh look at what people of the West are thinking about and writing down. December's Fishtrap Fireside is sponsored by Hurricane Coffee Company, a coffee and breakfast drive-through located here in Enterprise. They serve hot, cold, and iced drinks, plus a great breakfast burrito. Thanks, Hurricane Coffee. Okay, let's get going to our first reader. David Laskin has devoted the bulk of his literary career to nonfiction, writing about the lives of ordinary people caught up in events beyond their control. David's first story of a deadly 1888 winter storm, The Children's Blizzard, was a national bestseller that won both the Washington State Book Award and the Midwest Booksellers' Choice Award. He has also won the Washington State Book Award for The Family, the story of 3 branches of his mother's family, and The Long Way Home, about European immigrants who fought with the United States in the First World War. David recently jumped the fence to fiction with his first novel, What Sammy Knew, which came out this past spring to rave reviews, and is now hard at work on his second novel. Now, if you're watching this reading with kids or folks with sensitive ears, David let us know that the reading that he picked for this episode has a little bit of rough language in it, just so you know. Okay, with that, I want to welcome David Laskin.
Thank you, Mike. So, as you just said, this past spring, I published my first novel. It's a coming-of-age story set in New York City, and it's about a high school senior from a cushy suburb of New York who falls in love for the first time at a New Year's Eve party at the end of 1969. And in short order, Sammy runs away from home and lands in the East Village of Manhattan. Sam's act of rebellion triggers a series of revelations, including the fact that Tutu Carter, the Black domestic worker who has lived with and worked for Sam's family all his life, has been secretly raising a grandson named Leon at her apartment in Harlem. Many readers have told me that Leon was their favorite character in the book, and I'm going to read the scene in which Leon first appears. Chapter 6. Oh, happy day, oh, happy day, when Jesus washed, he washed my sins away. Leon, loose-limbed, 21, Leon Carter, folded himself at the waist so he could position his face in the frame of the tiny chipped bathroom mirror. With a toothbrush held like a microphone before his parted lips, he serenaded his reflection. Oh, happy day. The sweet voice swelled and echoed off the tile. The brown Adam's apple bobbed in the polished glass. Leon's neck was so long and the mirror so small that he had to bend his knees if he wanted to see the top of his face and his hair, and he did. Not that he was so vain. Self-love is as bad as self-hate, Pastor Ball had thundered to the congregation the day before. But he had to see what Shauna would see. Small head, round and shiny as a bowling ball, tight clipped hair. Afros are for hippies, his grandmother was always telling him. Wide set eyes, black and white and lit with the love of the Lord. When Jesus washed, he washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. Leon Carter began every day with a song of praise, no matter how low he felt, no matter how weary when he rose at 6 a.m. You tired, child? His granny hollered if he complained. Wait till you get to my age. Leon sang. He sang to the mirror. He sang to the ceiling. He sang in the shower, swinging from Oh Happy Day to I Got a Woman when he thought the water was loud enough to drown out the lyrics. He sang in the street, on the way to the Sugar Hill A&P, where he bagged groceries 4 mornings a week for $1.75 an hour, which he was happy to get. But most of all, Leon sang in the dim, cramped, reverberating storefront church on 145th Street that he and his grandmother attended faithfully every Sunday morning. Leon Carter was born to sing. Everybody who heard his voice said so, even Granny, who never said anything nice to anybody. And deep in his heart, he knew that one of these fine mornings, he was going to rise up, spread his wings, and get a record contract. But in the meantime, Leon belted it out night and day to himself. "You got to know someone, honey," Miss Genevieve, who led the church choir, kept telling him. "Get with the Jewish producers. They're the ones with the funds." But Leon lived in Harlem, packed groceries, sang in church. Who would he know? "Leon!" Granny's voice rang out through the closed door. He buttoned a white shirt over the hard, scant flesh, patted down his hair, bent over for one last smile in the mirror. Shauna had to love those dimples, and stepped out of the bathroom into the kitchen. He knew better than to keep Granny waiting, especially on Monday morning. Okay, so that's from What Sammy Knew. And my second reading is going to be from my current work in progress. This is the book, the novel that I'm writing now is called The Book of David. And this is a novel in which I take the story of the biblical King David and transpose it into the 20th century. My David is born to a poor immigrant family on the Lower East Side in 1914. He comes of age during the Great Depression, fights in World War II, and goes on to be a major political force in the post-war years. I'd like to read you my version of David and Goliath. A few things you need to know. David has been adopted by an immensely rich German Jewish banker named Saul Benjamin, who installs him in his Fifth Avenue mansion and enrolls him in a fancy New York private school called St. Dunstan's, where he's the only Jew ever to be admitted. A bullying classmate named Golly Rath launches a campaign to torment David and have him kicked out of the school. When David starts pitching for the school's baseball team, Golly, the team catcher, threatens to kill him unless he quits. Though David's last name is Judah, Golly refers to him as Cohen in an anti-Semitic slur. Right before the scene I'm going to read, David writes a term paper about traumatic brain injury, in which he describes the condition known as coup contre coup, in which the head is struck with sufficient force that the brain itself is dislodged and thrust against the opposing cranial wall. So here we go. Nobody's ever heard this before. So Fishtrap is the world premiere. At the start of the third inning, Golly called for a timeout and strolled over to the mound. David had been erratic at the start of the game, but he was settling down, hitting his stride. It was St. Dunstan's first big matchup of the season against their old rival Trinity. Why did Rath have to go and break his concentration now? "I warned you, Cohen." Golly had the catcher's mask pushed up over the top of his head. He bent at the waist as if he was going to kiss David's ball cap. "It's not too late. You quit now and I'll call off the boys. Otherwise," he slashed a forefinger under his throat. David shoved his right hand deep in his pants pocket and felt for the good luck pebbles he brought to every game. He clicked the rocks between his fingers. "You listening?" David withdrew the hand and pounded the inside of his glove. Womp, 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 raising little puffs of dust and rosin. Rath leaned in closer. "Am I a dog? You think the sight of your fist scares me? I curse you, Cohen. By Christ, I curse you and all your lousy, stinking Jews." David pounding the glove. "Don't make your mommy cry. You pitch this game and those boys will take you apart. When they get through, no one's ever going to find what's left. Crows will peck your eyeballs. Rats will crawl up your asshole and eat your rotten Jew guts." David let the glove fall to his side. He raised his face and stared Rath down. "Look at you, Rath. Oh gosh, Golly, you're so scared you need a shield for your face and a cup for your balls. Threaten me all you like, you and your little hoodlums, but I come in the name of God." Rage mastered him. He and the giant were eye to eye. I'm gonna knock your fucking block off. You're not gonna know what hit you. Your blood will flow in the dirt for everyone to see. Wild dogs will lick your blubber. When you croak, the entire world will know that there is a God watching us. God doesn't kill with hired thugs. The battle is his, and he will deliver you into my hands. Your God is a pig. Your God is dead. Your God's a pig. Your mother's a whore. You're a cocksucker. Your father fucks little boys. He probably fucked you, Cohen. Live like a dog and die like a dog. You and every fat shit Jew-hating motherfucker. Wrath spat at his feet and walked back to the plate. It was the bottom of the eighth. The Saints were ahead 5-3, but Trinity had men on first and second. 2 outs. David knew he was flagging. Win or lose, either way, he was a dead man once he walked off the field. He pinched the top of his jersey to feel for the golden disc with the star. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Finish the game. He wound up and threw with all his might. The batter, a strapping senior, swung. In a single instant, David heard the crack and saw the white dot skitter off the end of the bat and ricochet off Golly's mask. Foul tip. The ump extended both hands to his sides, 2 fingers pointing from each hand, still 2-2. But David wasn't looking at the ump. He was looking at Golly Wrath. He had the mask up and he was rubbing his forehead. He staggered when he tried to stand. The coach trotted out of the dugout. He bent over and hoisted Golly to his feet. All right, Wrath? David saw the coach's mouth say. Golly nodded and pushed him away. But David could tell he wasn't all right. Dizziness, blurred vision. Victims frequently black out for a second and snap back, insisting they are fine. Wrath squatted behind the plate again. Play ball, the ump called. David paused to pray before the windup. Who is this beast that he should defy the power of the living God? The words drifted away like smoke, and time slowed before his eyes. As he stretched his right arm behind his shoulder, David saw that the catcher had put on his mask awry. He was crouched behind the plate, but not low enough. Impaired judgment. Oh God, send it now, David mouthed silently as he released the baseball. The pitch sailed over home plate. Strike 3, the ump called, and into the corner of the mask, dangling from Golly's forehead. The unsecured metal sank into the forehead at the hairline, and the head whiplashed, recoiling from the blow. David could practically feel the brain come loose and splat against the back of the skull. Coup contra coup. Wrath fell howling upon his face to the earth.
You can learn more about David Laskin and his books at his website, davidlaskin.com. Hey, do you know somebody who loves to write? Well, Fishtrap is now accepting applications for summer Fishtrap scholarships and fellowships. The primary benefit of these awards is to give writers with great promise an opportunity to attend summer Fishtrap. The application deadline is coming up. It's December 15, so go to fishtrap.org to learn more. And while you're there, go to the Summer Fishtrap page to check out some of the people coming to lead writing workshops next summer. It's a great lineup. Registration opens February 1st. Okay, it's time for our second reader, and you are going to love this, folks. Emrys Hobbs was born in Wallowa County. He's 13 years old and enjoys art, animals, reading, writing, music, and being outdoors. He hopes someday to become a graphic novelist, or a teacher, or an astronaut, or all of the above. Meanwhile, he's attending junior high in Enterprise, hanging out with his family as much as he can, and working at getting better at piano and pie crusts. He feels lucky that Fishtrap has been a part of his life for as long as he can remember. Please welcome Emrys Hobbs.
Hello. I think I'll just get right to it. My first poem is just one I wrote this year at Fishtrap, and this is just, to sort of get the blood flowing and sort of you know. It's called Curtain. Smell, smell. It vacuums to my face. Aroma of the outdoors, the floating scent of life. Sound, sound. The waves wash to my ears. I hear the roaring of a storm that started out at sea. Taste, taste. I taste the salty sea mist that envelops me in bliss. I see, I see, I see far out at sea. The white-capped waves and dancing water. I feel it, this feeling in my heart. It burns in my throat. It leaks through my eyes. It explodes through my ears, and it seeps through my nose, like a misty thought. It's a misty thought that takes no form. It twists and writhes and wiggles and bubbles. And like a jet black sparrow, it flits past, and with it brings a curtain of emotion. That's the first one. The second one, as well, is something that I did at Fishtrap this last year. And it's called Scrumptious Scarlet. There you go. Teeth puncture waxy skin, dig into the tender flesh, run into the rock-hard pit. The juicy flavor, treacle and tart, bitter and sweet. Delicious cherries disappear and leave behind the bittersweet taste for which you remember them. That's a shorter one that I did. So this next one is called, it's basically the intro to a story I'm writing called The Silent Pilgrim. And there it is. The night was cold and crisp. A figure broke the sinister silence, heading for an orb of light in the sea of wispy white mist. The silent pilgrim walking down the well-beat path. He was a soldier and a scholar. You could tell by the large pack of books and weapons on his back, and by the many scars he wore. Okay. This next one is a kind of creepy one. You may or may not like it. It's just a little creepy. With murderous intent to kill, it flies, it pierces, and blood is spilled. On this, with fierce aim, you may rely. Kunai, 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 kunai. With murderous intent to kill, it stabs through, it jabs through. There is no cry, just silent stealth. Kunai, 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 kunai. For those of you who do not know, a kunai is a kind of knife that is meant for throwing, and was also used as a garden tool in Japan for a little while, for the earlier years. And this one, this is an excerpt from Barnaby Haddock. This is a story that it's a work in progress. And this is one that's just meant to, bring a little bit of a bubble to your day or night. Okay. One day, a little tizzy was happening at the Yumberry Inn. Barnaby Haddock was dancing around on the table singing, "Old Man Rivers got his tail in a tittle, rum-ta-dum-dum, tee-tiddly-too." And young little Tom fell asleep with his fiddle, fiddly-diddly-fiddly-doo, and stopped with that. Now that everyone was quite thoroughly annoyed with Barnaby, who was doubling over with laughter on the table, Old Man Rivers shook his head and took a swig of ale. But Tom hadn't noticed a thing and was still snoring under the table. Despite being kicked a few times, he was still in a deep sleep. Finally, the party died down and most people went to bed. The next afternoon, Barnaby was at it again, but this time he was singing, Old Man River with his tail in a tittle slipped on a puddle, piddle puddle, and fell down a hill right into a river, and on his way he got covered in mud, muddly puddly pud. This time he laughed so hard he fell off the table, upsetting a barrel of ale. He was then practically swimming in ale, and the crowd couldn't help but laugh at the total absurdity of it all. And finally, Riverman lifted his mug and said, "A toast to Barnaby Haddock and his idiotic performance," and everyone drank deeply. Riverman let out a sigh of deep and utter contentment. It was about dusk at the moment, and Riverman was feeling great. Okay. Thank you. The last one I'm going to be doing is one I wrote a little bit earlier, actually, for school. This poem will be bringing a finish to my reading. Splish, splash, shimmer, swimmer, straining up the stream, flish, flash, silver dash in a horrid dream. Thrashing, bashing, crashing, smashing, sliding, climbing, losing grip. Every year they appear, seasonal drama, one-way trip. Strength fading, skin shifting, danger takes a toll. Eyes dimming, final swimming, they try to reach their goal. Struggling, spawning, new life dawning, is this how it has to be? Commanded by their instinct to come back from the sea, decaying dead salmon, floating, drifting down, feeding the rivers, sovereign givers, and the cycle goes around. Thank you very much.
Wow, 13 years old. Thanks, Emrys. Before we get to our final reader, I want to tell you about an upcoming virtual writing workshop. It's the lean season, winter writing with space and stillness with Matt Daly. It's Saturday mornings in January. You can learn all about it at fishtrap.org. And while you're there, check out all other programs we have coming up, like Outpost on the Zumwalt Prairie, Outpost on the Snake River in Hell's Canyon, and of course, The Big Read. Okay, it's time for our final reader. Evelyn Swart is a former teacher, principal, superintendent of schools, state educational consultant, and teacher of teachers. She is a proud mother of 3 wonderful citizens of the world, grandmother of 4 amazing people residing in Washington, Colorado, Poland, Thailand, and pretty soon Australia. Evelyn has a major interest in people and their positive attitudes towards our planet's past, present, and future. She's been a Wallowa County resident and Fishtrap admirer for 20 years and likes writing stories for and about children of all ages. Please welcome Evelyn Swart.
Thank you. The book, Polly Rides an Elephant, is a totally Wallowa County product. Although I wrote the story, Lita Barlow's illustrations and Tara Porter's graphics greatly enhanced it. Ellen Bishop and Ed Pitts were both helpful in getting the book to print. Polly rides an elephant. "I will ride an elephant," Polly said to her mom and dad. "When we get to the elephant park, I will ride a baby elephant." Dad said, "No, you will not ride an elephant. You can feed bananas to an elephant." On the way to the elephant park, Polly sang songs about elephants. She sang until they were in the park. When they came to the park, Dad gave a man some money. Then the man gave Polly and her mom and dad bananas to give to the elephants. "Will the elephants bite me?" The elephants took the bananas from Polly's hand. Did the elephants bite Polly? No, the elephants did not bite. Dad said, "We will go to a show and see the elephants." Polly and mom and dad went to see the show. At the show, the elephants made pictures. The pictures made Polly and Mom and Dad smile. A little elephant made a funny picture. I want to take the picture home, said Polly. A man in the show said, Penelope, can the little girl have the picture? The little elephant made his trunk go up and down. Thank you, Penelope, said Polly. Polly and her mom and dad went to see the big elephants with the little elephants. Polly saw Penelope. Penelope made her trunk go up and down. Polly put her hand on Penelope's trunk and Penelope winked at Polly. Do elephants wink? I cannot tell you. Polly said, I want to ride an elephant. Please, may I ride Penelope? The man said, Penelope cannot give you a ride, but you may sit on her and get a picture to take home. Polly let the man put her on the little elephant. She had a good smile for a picture. Dad saw a smile on Penelope's face and a twinkle in her eyes. Or did he? You can get down now, said the man. But I want to go for a ride on Penelope, said Polly. Did Polly hear Penelope say, hang on, Polly, here we go? Or did she? The little elephant ran toward the gate. She went faster and faster with Polly still on her. I'm going to fall off, yelled Polly. Take my ears. Polly took the two big ears in her hands as they went out the gate. Come back, yelled the man. Come back, said Polly's mother. Come back, said Polly's dad. On and on, Penelope and Polly went away from the elephant park. No one could make them come back. Penelope ran through the trees and bushes by some water. They saw some crocodiles smile at them. Polly heard Penelope say, should we stop and play with them? No, Polly said. They have teeth that are too big. They went by a tree and a snake was in the tree. Shall we stop and play with the snake? Said Penelope. No, its tail is too long, Polly said. A big yellow and black tiger was sleeping on a rock. Do not stop, Polly said to Penelope. We must let the tiger sleep. A panda was eating berries. No, Penelope and Polly did not stop. On and on went Polly and Penelope. They came to a little monkey, and it did not go with them. The little monkey said, I do not want to go away from my mother. It was getting dark when they came to a town. Penelope had to stop. Polly was on her back for a long time. Polly wanted to eat. Penelope wanted to sleep. Polly was sad. My mom wants me, she said. They woke up and Polly saw her mom and dad. Penelope saw the man from the elephant park. Is it time for you to go home with us? Said Polly's dad. Yes, said Polly. I want to be with my mom and dad. Polly looked at Penelope. Do you want to come home with me? Polly said to Penelope. No, said Penelope. I want you to come see me at the park. When I'm big, we will go for another ride. The end. And thank you, Lita, and thank you, Chantal, for being our helper.
No problem.
Okay. Now Morris finds the way home. This is a story that it does not have illustrations as of yet. And so close your eyes. Picture a colt in a corral next to a barn. You are the illustrator. Morris finds the way home. Morris was a young horse, a colt. He was nervous. He was curious. One day, he found the gate open and Morris was gone. His mother had told him to stay in the corral, but he forgot about that. Morris sniffed the grass as he poked along a path winding around the farm. He saw a sheep grazing on the other farm and jumped over a short fence to visit. Bah! The farm dog chased him and Morris jumped over another fence. Whoa, woof, woof. Morris ran and ran along the creek. He became tired. He decided to stop and sample a little grass. He moved along, nibbling grass and slurping water from the creek. After a while, Morris felt a little tired and began to think about his mother. She would be calling and would want to see her colt. But he could not see the barn. It was getting cold. He thought about his mother's warm milk. Morris wanted to go back to the barn, but he did not know how to get there. He thought and thought. Thinking made him thirsty. So he took another drink from the creek. When he stepped near the creek, he rubbed a tender tree branch. The branch broke and splashed into the water. As it floated down the street, Morris noticed that it was going back the way he had come. Maybe the branch will take me to my corral and the barn. Maybe it will take me to my mother. Morris followed the branch as it floated along in the creek. He came to the place where the dog had chased him earlier. The dog was asleep in his doghouse. He did not notice Morris jumping over the fences this time. Morris stopped and peered ahead. It was getting dark and he could almost barely see the corral and the barn. He heard his mother calling to him, Morris, Morris. He ran faster. Morris ran to his mother. They swished their tails happily and gave each other kisses the way horses do. The branch in the street brought me back to the corral, Morris told her. They helped me find you. I am so happy that you are back. You were a smart horse to follow the branch and the stream. Whee! Whee! The end.
It's nice to be read a story, isn't it? If you like what you saw, share Fishtrap Fireside with your friends and family. Anyone, anywhere can take in Fireside online at fishtrap.org and on Fishtrap's YouTube channel. And as we close out 2021, I hope you'll consider Fishtrap for your end of year giving. Every donation is much appreciated and helps keep programs like Fishtrap Fireside going. The next Fishtrap Fireside comes to you Friday, January 7, with 3 more Wallowa County writers. Until then, happy holidays, everyone. I'll see you in the new year.